My name is Kumel and we're doing an interview for Toe the Line with Joe Egan, and known as the toughest white man on the planet according to Mike Tyson. Welcome, Joe Egan.
Come on, thank you. It's great to be here. We're good friends and I'm looking forward to this interview. I travel down memory lane every time I do an interview.
Right, because we're going to have a blast and have some fun. We're going to take this way back. So we start off with where you started off from boxing.
Well, my dad encouraged me to box, me and my two brothers, because I'd experienced bullying as a child. If you talk to a lot of fighters, 9 times out of 10, it's usually as a result of bullying that they get into the boxing game. But I experienced a very, very hard time at the hands of the bullies. All my years boxing come on, I only had 1 tooth knocked out. I got 2 teeth knocked out the day I made my Holy Communion in Manchester, in Newton Heath. My 2 bully boys were trying to steal my Holy Communion medal, held onto my medal to knock my 2 front teeth out. I was only 8 years of age. I got bullied in England when we came over to visit my dad because I had the Irish accent. I picked up the English accent, and when I went home to Dublin, I got bullied in Dublin because I had the English accent. I've got 4 younger sisters and 2 younger brothers, so rather than the bullies beating on them, when they finished beating on me, I used to jump back up and jump back in and say, please don't hit them, hit me. So I took some savage beatings at the hands of the bullies. So my dad, who was away working a lot all over the world, he's a construction worker, concrete worker, he worked way all over the world, so a lot of the times growing up he wasn't there. So I had to sort of mind myself as such and mind my brothers and sisters. So I learned how to box, I learned how to defend myself, and I learned how to stand up against the bullies. I dreamed about becoming a champion of the world. Every boxer that climbs into the ring dreams about becoming a champion of the world. I wasn't good enough to become a champion of the world. I shared the ring with great world champions. It was an honour. It was an honour to share the ring with them. If you're going to get battered, you might as well get battered by the best. I got battered by the best. But at least in the boxing ring, it was quite safe. There was only one man hitting you. Even if it was Mike Tyson or Lennox Lewis, there was still only one man. With the bullies, there was gangs. I was getting kicked and booted. I got hit with batons, I got hit with baseball bats, I got hit with scaffolding poles. I've experienced a lot of bullying in my life. But the boxing gave me the confidence, the courage, the ability to stand up to the bullies. And the great thing about boxing, first and foremost, it gives you self-respect. Then it gives you respect for others. And I enjoyed every moment of my boxing career. Even the fights I lost, I never got to count to myself, I enjoyed it.
So let's go back to the actual point where you thought, I want to do this, I want to do this, this is my dream. When did that trigger and think, this is the journey I want to take?
It wasn't so much a journey or a dream, it was just to learn how to fight in the beginning, to stand up to the bullies. I went into the gym when I was 11 years of age.
Right.
I had my first fight at 11. I boxed Steve Collins, who was 1.5 years older than me. He was 12.5. And when you're 11, that 1.5 years makes a big difference. And he battered me. He went on to win 2 world titles. So it was no shame getting beat up. I actually fought him again years later. When I was 16, he was 17.5, he beat me again. But he had an awful lot of ability. He went on, as I said, to win 2 world titles. He's been my friend since we were boys, since we were young boys. Been to his weddings, he got married twice, he was at both his weddings. First one to Jeremy, second one to Donna. He's a good man, Steve, a great fighter, great warrior, the Celtic warrior. Yeah. But that's the great thing about boxing, you know, people that don't understand the sport, you can fight a man in the boxing ring, you can embrace each other after the fight.
Respect after.
The friendship that you can have. Yeah. 1 year I won my way to an Irish title final, and Cathal Ryan, who was the head doorman in the nightclub where I worked the door, we ended up battering each other in the ring. After the fight, we went to work on the nightclub. Security was head doorman, all busted up, bruised and swollen. And people were saying, there must have been a bad fight tonight. We were after boxing each other. Then I was the best man at his wedding. You know, people that don't understand the sport, it is only a sport. It's nothing personal. Promoters, managers, they try to make it personal to sell tickets. You know, there's a rivalry. Yeah, of course there's a rivalry. It's a fight. But it's not so much a bitter rivalry. But getting back to your original question, that's what encouraged me to learn how to box, to learn how to fight so I could stand up to the bullies. When I found out that I could fight and it wasn't too bad,
yeah,
I put more effort into it then because I thought I could enjoy this journey, you know, as a boxer. Whereas before, I just thought, get a bit of ability and fight the bullies.
And how does one go about fighting on the streets, defending themselves, getting to a club, boxing? How does that then take its road from there? Do you get found by some scout? How did that process take place for you?
Well, during my career as an amateur boxer, I won seven Irish titles. I won 4 seniors, 2 under-19s and a junior title. And I got picked to box for Ireland, which to win 1 Irish title was a major achievement. To win 7 was phenomenal, to tell you the truth, because I wasn't very skillful. I didn't have an awful lot of skill, and a lot of courage. All fighters have courage. To walk into that boxing ring, you've got to have courage, you know. And I had an abundance of courage. I had a decent chin, you know. I could take a punch, but that's from years of getting battered by the bullies. I sort of became immune to the punishment, immune to the pain. But after winning some Irish titles, I got picked to box for my country. And my first international, I fought England. There's a great rivalry between Ireland and England, the history of the Irish and the English. And I got beat up by a guy called Bobby Wells. I was only 17. He was 24, ABA champion, seasoned campaigner, phenomenal fighter. And he busted me up. I got stopped in the 3rd round. But I gave a good account of myself, you know, and any fight I was ever in, win, lose or draw, I always gave my all. Anyway, after that I got picked to go to America. I boxed on the Irish team in America and got beat up again by an American and called William Dawson, big Marine sergeant. They were all bigger than me.
And older.
Older, because I was mature for my age.
Yeah.
I left school when I was 14, 15 years of age. I was on the doors of nightclubs.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to do was, at that stage in my life, was box. I didn't have any reason to stay on in school because I thought boxing was going to make me, boxing was going to make me my living. So I left school young and went onto the doors of nightclubs and was big for my age. Yeah. But I haven't got that mature man strength. Even though I was big, I haven't got that mature man strength. So when I went on the Irish team at 17...
So it must have been amazing knowing that you started off in Ireland and now you've flown out to America, you're part of the Irish team.
Yeah. Even though I got beat up, like I said, by a big Marine sergeant. Big, powerful, strong man with mature man strength. But Floyd Patterson was in attendance, former heavyweight champion of the world. And he saw something in me that he could work with. And he gave me the opportunity to stay on in America. He said, I like the courage that you've got. He said, you haven't got an awful lot of skill. He said, well, can work on skill. You know, would you like to stay on in America? I dived at the opportunity because I wouldn't have had the money to come back. No. I remember phoning my mum. I said, Mum, Floyd Patterson has given me the opportunity to stay on in America.
How old were you?
17.
17 and you're in the States and you're going to stay out by yourself.
Yeah, but the thing is, with the boxing,
it's a family.
It's a family, Kumel, you know. Wherever you go in the world, there might not be kicking a soccer ball, there might not be bouncing a basketball, but there'll be a kid punching a bag. It's the most cosmopolitan sport in the world. And people use the phrase, oh, they come from the gutter boxers. I don't like that phrase. No. Boxers come from humble beginnings. Because if you tend to have money, you go into moneyed sports. You know, boxing, soccer, basketball are the most humblest of beginnings. Boxing, the most humblest of all. You know, I didn't have an awful lot of money, actually very little. You know, I had 4 sisters and 2 brothers. Even though my dad worked and sent the money home to us, my mum used to make ends meet with what little she had. You know, we grew up on minimal. You know, beans and potatoes and bread. You know, we didn't have the luxuries of chocolate biscuits as kids, and we didn't have the luxury of a lot of good things, you know, when you're growing up. But we made the most of it, you know, we were happy kids. But the boxing, me and my 2 brothers, we loved going to the boxing gym. The camaraderie, the friendship in the boxing gym. And it's the same all over the world, the camaraderie and the friendship. So when I was in New York, I was still part of a big boxing fraternity, a big boxing family. And I went to Gleason's gym. Floyd Patterson gave me the opportunity to go to Gleason's gym. I remember my mum saying, "Oh, you'll never come home." I said, "Mum, I'll be home next year." And I went to Gleason's gym.
So Gleason's must have been amazing because we know of Gleason's here in the UK. We know it's one of the first gyms in New York.
Champions.
Yeah,
you know,
home of the champions.
It's amazing.
And then to be given that introduction by Floyd Patterson.
Floyd Patterson brought me in. He introduced me to Al Gavin.
Yeah.
No longer with us now, God rest him. And Bob Jackson. And recognised two great trainers. You know, and they gave me the opportunity to spar with a couple of heavyweights in the gym. I sparred a heavyweight called Art Tucker. I can't remember the other heavyweight's name. And I gave a good account of myself. But they said there's a young heavyweight in the Catskills called Mike Tyson.
This story is running its own course somewhere else over the pond and you had no idea.
I had no idea. I didn't know who this boy was. He was knocking me out left, right, centre. I was so happy to hear that he was 17.
Yeah.
They said there's a 17-year-old heavyweight in the Catskills, Mike Tyson, looking for sparring partners. 17. I dived on the opportunity because I'd been so used to fighting.
25,
24, Bobby Wells, 28, William Dawson, mature men.
So you think this is going to be a breeze?
This is going to be a walk in the park.
So I want to go back a bit now. So you've been given an introduction now to go out to the Catskills, to the home of the legendary Custom Otto.
Yes.
Did you hear much of Cus before this, or was this just a new?
I knew of Floyd Patterson.
Yeah.
Because Floyd was married to an Irish lady,
right,
from Offaly, and he's iconic heavyweight champion of the world. So I knew who Floyd Patterson was, and I knew his association with his manager Cus. Other than that, I didn't know Cus's achievements. He had Jose Torres was a world champion as well. I didn't know that, and I didn't know what was happening with him with Mike Tyson. He was making waves with Mike.
I mean, obviously today, in 2019, we look back at Cus and what we call sports science. He probably sparked that off way back in the 50s and 60s.
He was an amazing man. He was an amazing man because he made Floyd Patterson the heavyweight champion of the world. He was a small heavyweight, even at them times. He'd be dwarfed in nowadays, modern times. But he was up against beasts of heavyweight then, and he taught Floyd peekaboo style, bobbing and weaving, the art of self-defense, because that's what boxing is. Boxing is the art of self-defense. Hit and don't get hit. You know, and Cus worked magic with Floyd. He worked magic with Jose Torres, and he worked ultimate magic with Mike Tyson.
So was that style going to be an issue to you, the peekaboo style? Because we obviously built up around the European style here.
Well, the thing is, when I met Mike first time getting to the Catskills, and I was introduced to Cus and Kumel and Marnie and a few of the other guys that were there, it was such a warm reception. It was like a home from home.
So you end up in this old Victorian mansion.
Beautiful, up on the Hudson River, up in Catskills.
Nice big lawn outside.
Magnificent, magnificent. It's fabled because Rip Van Winkle slept up in the Catskills for 4
that's right.
years. That's how peaceful and tranquil it is. But then I was introduced to Mike. He was smaller than me, younger than me, 6 months younger than me. And I thought, this is going to be so easy. And very nice guy. We loved the history of the Irish boxers, loved the relationship that Barry McGuigan had with Mr. Eastwood, because it was like a father-son relationship that he had with Cus. And we walked and talked that night, and it was like a home from home. Come on, it was so wonderful. And the more I spoke to Mike, we went up to his room at the top of the house and watched some fight footage. He had access to the biggest library of fight footage in the world. Jim Jacobs and Bill Caden was part of his management team. They had the biggest library of fight footage in the world, so Mike had access to that library. Now, to me, there's only so much boxing you can watch.
So he's a boxing historian.
To Mike Tyson, there wasn't enough.
So he's learned everything.
We're sitting there, it's the first night I'm there, and he said, "Joe, man, if this left hook had landed on that chin, that would have changed the whole history of that weight division." And he was like a walking encyclopedia of boxing. And I sat with him, and the more I sat with him, the more I spoke to him, I actually started to feel sorry for him.
Because you know you're going to be fighting in the morning.
I thought I'm going to bust you up in sparring tomorrow because he was smaller than me and younger than me. But I didn't realise what he'd been doing to powerful men. Anyway, the next morning we went jogging, jogged half a mile. He took off like a gazelle. He could run. He was a fast runner. And I just said, "When you tire yourself out, I'm going to smash you up in sparring." Anyway, went back to the house, had a bite to eat, went to bed for a few hours till we got to the gym. Minibus comes. Suddenly these big powerful men appear that I hadn't met the day before. Older, mature men.
Yeah.
So I thought, they must be boxing each other, sparring together. Us two boys are going to box together, but they were very sombre on the bus.
Okay.
They were very, very sombre. But they knew what was coming. Stupid Paddy here didn't know what was coming.
Right.
You know, I didn't know the wrecking machine that Mike Tyson was. I was so relaxed and calm. Anyway, got to the gym, laughing and joking with Mike, warming up, shadow boxing. Next of all, Costco's right, bandage up, glove up, we're going to spar. So I'm looking around, where's Mike? All these big, powerful men.
So this gym is above the police station?
Up the police station,
yeah.
on Main Street, Catskills.
Main Street, Catskills, yeah.
And these powerful men were sitting there, so somber, like as if men going to the gallows.
And it's quiet in there with it.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this, I said, what's going on here? Where's Mike? Next one I look into the ring, and Mike was pacing the ring with his shirt off.
It's the first time you've seen him.
First time I've seen him with his shirt off.
Yeah.
His physique, his neck, his chest, his biceps. There's no way a 17-year-old boy should look like that. He was phenomenal. And he was pacing the ring, walking the ring, looking out.
Were you double guessing at this point while we're doing it here?
Well, do you know something? I just thought, that's not the same boy that I met and watched fight footage with yesterday. That's not the same boy that I ran with this morning. This is a different animal in the ring. Cus pointed to one of the sparring partners, one of the big men, he got in. He was knocked spark out. I do tell people, I ruined a good pair of underpants at that moment in time. I shit myself because I thought, how has this boy got this power? A couple more sparring partners got in, they were knocked spark out as well. That was number 4. I got in, I was battered from pillar to post. I took a 3-minute savage beating, but I stayed on my feet, and then I got out, a couple more got in, they lasted the 3 minutes, so I was back in again, 6 minutes and 2 minutes break. 8 minutes later, and I took another 3 minutes of beating. So I had 6 minutes that day. But the madness in me, because most fighters have to have a little bit of madness in them to get in and fight.
Yeah.
You play football, you play golf, you play tennis, you play basketball. You don't play boxing. You know, boxing isn't a game, it's a sport. You know, but the madness in me, I thought, I'll get the better of you tomorrow. I stayed on sparring with Mike nearly 2 years. I never got the better of him. He made me cry so many times, he hurt me so many times, but it was an honour to share the ring with him. You know, I wrote to people and I told people I'm training with the future heavyweight champion of the world. I knew how special he was then, but it's even more of an honour, and I'm very proud to say that he's my friend. He's been my friend 37, almost 38 years now. He's visited my mother 4 times in Dublin. My mum used to speak to him on the phone. She used to say, "Oh Mike, thank you so much for looking after my son." He was battering me week in, week out. But he helped me become the man I am today. You know, because in psychological warfare, which a lot of it is in boxing, I could take Mike Tyson's punishment, I could take Mike Tyson's beatings, so that gave me the confidence to think I could take any man's beatings. And when they gave me the opportunity to fight Lennox Lewis, people were avoiding Lennox. He was knocking everybody out. He was number 2 in the world at the time, amateur, Pan American Games gold medalist, Olympic bronze in 84, he went on and got the gold in 88. I fought him in 85, the New York All-Stars against the Canadian All-Stars. And he couldn't get anybody to box him, and I said, I'll box him. He was heavier than me, bigger than me, more powerful than me, more skillful than me. But I had the confidence because I was taking Mike Tyson's punishment, to think that I could take Lennox's punishment, to know I could take Lennox's punishment. And I got in, he battered me for 3 rounds, I lost on points, but I stayed on my feet with him. I stayed on my feet with Lennox, and it was a great achievement considering he was knocking everybody out. He's a lovely man, Lennox. He's been my friend since the fight, and Mike's the same from the beginning. We sparred together to this day, my friend.
And it's a testament to your friendship, because even though I've travelled now out to the States, met up with Mike, as soon as we knew each other, he's like, you're Joel's friend, you're family to me, sit down, and that was it.
We just made me so proud. Lennox Lewis made me proud as well. I was at the Klitschko Fury fight in Germany, and I was with some of the Irish media guys, some of my friends, and we saw Lennox, and I said, there's Lennox Lewis, he's my friend Joe, we'll never get near him. Look at the security around him. I said, he's my friend, and I've gone, Lennox! And he saw me and he waved me in. And I was like Moses, the security was like that, and he embraced me. And he's another great ambassador for boxing. Lennox is a lovely man, you know, and boxing doesn't just need great fighters, it needs great ambassadors, and Lennox is a fine ambassador. I've played chess with Lennox. I've never beaten him in a game of chess either, but it's a lot less painful to lose in a game of chess than it is in the boxing ring. But Mike Tyson is, to me, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Lennox is, to me, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Doesn't get the recognition he deserves. Mike gets the recognition. Lennox, because he's a quiet, reserved type of guy, and he was in the shadow of Mike Tyson.
A different era, wasn't it?
Well, the thing is, he was in the shadow of
Yeah.
Mike, you know, and he didn't get the recognition he deserved. Mike got the great recognition because he was so fast.
Well, Louis always said, it's like fine wine, I'm matured late.
Yes. Well, the thing is,
We're all great.
he still achieved greatness.
Yeah.
The two fights that Lennox lost, he lost to Rackman and McCall. Both times, he never prepared properly. There's an old saying, fail to prepare, be prepared to fail. He was doing Nelson Mandela publicity tour, called Rest Nelson Mandela, and he was making an Ocean's 11 film, I think. Both times when he had the rematch, he prepared properly and knocked out the two guys in the rematches. So Lennox could have finished his career as an unbeaten heavyweight. The fight with Mike, it was a tragic fight for Mike.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the Mike Tyson of old that was in with Lennox. It was a shell of Mike Tyson. Take nothing away from Lennox, he beat what was in front of him, but to me it was a shell of Mike Tyson. I think, I've said it in my book, the best of Mike Tyson died when Cuss died.
Well, that's what I was going to get to now. With Cuss, especially today, with a lot of stuff on the table about sports science, about character, about emotions, and people are understanding that boxers have emotions, or sports personalities have emotions, and that's what gets you through to the finishing line at times. Cuss was probably one key player that was the advocate to that. I want to know a bit more about the person that what Cuss was. And you probably had first-hand experience with, obviously staying with him out there in the Catskills.
Cuss was one of the nice people in boxing, in the management, in the training, one of the genuine nice guys. It's a savage sport, and it's a sport where the lambs rule the lions. There's an awful lot of management, an awful lot of
racketeering, and
yeah, and they don't. A lot of fighters are pieces of meat to these guys,
yeah.
But with a person like Cuss, and a few others like him, I'm not going to just say Cuss. There's a few people within the sport of boxing that are genuine, caring, that love the fighters. Cuss was one of them men. He actually loved the fighters. He loved Mike, he loved Jose Torres, he loved Floyd Patterson, and he loved all the fighters. He admired and respected the fighters, and he treated the fighters with the love and affection that they deserve to be treated with. Because even though they're tough guys, they still need to be minded, because outside of the boxing ring, it's such a ruthless world, and a lot of fighters aren't educated because they come from such humble beginnings, come from the street. They don't have the education, they don't understand a lot of these contracts, they don't understand a lot of the deals, and they trust these people, and a lot of them are being abused, and the trust is being abused, and they've ended up paupers,
And system manipulates.
Yeah, well, Cuss loved Mike, and he loved all the fighters, and he minded Mike, and Mike loved Cuss, and he gave his all for Cuss.
And you saw that
it firsthand. I saw it was like a father-son relationship. It was the most wonderful to me. It was the most, because Mike had such hard introduction into the world, running wild as a child in Brownsville, in a rough part of New York, and a tragic introduction into the world, a hard introduction into the world, and then suddenly he's got a safe environment with Cuss, a caring environment with Cuss, a loving environment with Cuss, and then he was tragically took from Cuss, tragically took from Mike. Too young. Mike was 20 years of age, hadn't even won the world title at that stage. Cuss never got to see him win the world heavyweight title. He saw him from heaven. I believe in heaven. He watched him from heaven. But I think that when Cuss died, the best of Mike died, because unfortunately the people that got the grip with Mike afterwards, some of the other management, I won't mention any names, some of the other management that got the grip with Mike abused him, and didn't treat him the way Cuss did.
So where did Joe Egan go from that point, from being in the Catskills, out there with the future champ?
Well, I left when Cuss took sick. I was in the Catskills when Cuss got sick, and even though I was made to feel part of the family, and I was looked after and treated like part of the family, I didn't want to stay there when Cuss was ill, and I wanted to live with Mike and Tom and Jay, who were Mike's adopted brothers, stepbrothers, and I left. But I'd learned enough while I was there to help me through my boxing career. Some of the things that Cuss had taught me took me a good distance. I went on, like I said, I went won 7 Irish titles.
That's right, yeah.
And I went professional. with Mr. Eastwood, who was a good manager, a good man, a kind man. I didn't fulfil any great achievements as a professional boxer because my career was cut short because of a car crash. And it was hard to accept that, really, to tell you the truth. I went into a bit of a depression because everything I'd ever done was boxing. You know, if I cycled a bike, it was
It's always for it.
You know,
so was a lot of that, what you saw, what you've been through, echoing through your whole life at this point, at a junction to say, what am I going to do now?
I went into a depression after the crash. You know, I was after one of my pro fights. My sister had organised a coach for family and friends to go and watch the fight. I went back to Dublin after the fight. I boxed in Belfast. I went back to Dublin on the coach with my sister and my family and my granddad. And a taxi, a professional driver, crashed into the coach that I was on, another professional driver. So as a result of 2 professional drivers hitting a coach, I shattered my knee, shattered my jaw. I was standing at the time on the coach because we were stopped at the traffic lights. The girl I was seeing at the time, she parked her vehicle close to where the traffic lights were, so we were getting off, and my granddad, everyone else was going back to their house, but my granddad was going home. So I was giving my granddad a hug to tell him I'd see him tomorrow, and as I turned, Tony the driver said, I'll drop you to the next set of traffic lights. He said, it was a bit of a walk, and as we're going through the lights, a Mercedes, big old Mercedes taxi of all cars, hit the coach, and I saw it coming. I grabbed my girlfriend around the neck, otherwise she'd been thrown against the windscreen of the coach, and I lost my balance with the impact of the vehicle, and shattered my knee, my jaw, my shoulder. And I remember lying there. I'd gone concussed a little bit, had my arm around the neck and trying to pull my arm around the neck. And then we ended up in hospital, and one of my sister's friends, my sister's an accountant, she's a chartered accountant, and she was friends with this doctor, Dr. Mitchell, David Mitchell. We were after dropping him off less than 10 minutes before he'd come to the fight. And when we were in hospital the next day, he came on duty. He couldn't understand. He was after being on the coach with us 10 minutes previous. And suddenly we're all in hospital, my granddad, my brother, me, you know, and the damage to my knee and my shoulder and my jaw more or less finished my career. And it was very, very hard. I went into a depression, very, very hard to accept it. I was 24 years of age.
Yeah, suddenly everything you...
Top of the world, fit, I don't drink alcohol, I'm an Irishman that doesn't drink alcohol. People say to me, what sort of an Irishman are you? My dad says I'm a failure as an Irishman because it's expected of us to drink. But I have no interest in alcohol, and I don't smoke, and I trained hard as a pro, and suddenly it was over. And then years later, 12 years actually later, I was in a bad place financially, and I made a comeback in the boxing Kumel. You know, I wasn't the man that I'd been. You know, I was a lot older, but I was desperate for money, and there was a big write-up in the boxing. It said George Foreman makes the comeback after 10 years. Big Joe Egan made the comeback after 12 years. They get mentioned in the same paragraph as George Foreman. You know, it was very proud, you know, and had a comeback fight. And, I won in the 5th round and got myself a few quid because I was in like I said, I was in a tight corner financially. I just boxed and I won, and I thought, maybe there's a little bit left in the tank.
And the desire was still there?
No, the hunger was there because I was broke.
It's the necessities really.
Yeah, I hadn't got any money. I've no skill. All I'd ever done was box and security. You know, I was on the doors of nightclubs, I've done static guard, a store detective, I was Delta Airlines, I was security with Delta Airlines, I've been a bodyguard, so all I've ever done is security. And at the time, there wasn't much security work, I wasn't getting much work, and I was broke, and I needed money. So I couldn't get any security work, I had no skill, no trade. You know, I left school young, and the only skill and trade I had was to fight. And even though I'd been wounded all them years before in the car crash, with aches and pains and everything else, so I'd give it another go, get a few pounds. And then after that fight, I thought, well, I got through it. I spoke to some of the trainers that were there. My old trainer was there, John Breen, who trained me as a pro. We had a fight on the bill. I said, how did I look? He looked okay, you know, he's a little bit rusty. I spoke to Brendan England, who's since died, got arrested, he trained Nassim Mohammed. I spoke to Brendan, the fighter on the bill, John O'Brien, and I said to Brendan, how did I look? Same as what John Breen had said. He said, you looked a little bit rusty, but 12 years out of the ring, yeah, you got a little bit left in the tank. So I contacted Mike. I didn't go cap in hand, I didn't go asking for money. I've never asked anybody for the money. You know, I've been a working man, or a fighting man. And I contacted Mike. I said, Mike, I said, I'm not good enough to spar with you anymore. I said, I've had a comeback fight from boxing after 12 years out of the ring. You need anything, Joe? Do you need anything? No, I said, Mike, your friendship, that's all I've ever asked you. Is your friendship, asked of you, and you've given me a friendship. I said, maybe I could get on one of your undercards. And he said, yeah, Joe, man. He said, we can sort that. And then Shelley Finkel, who was Mike's management, he got in touch, and I spoke to Shelley, and I said, look, I don't want to fight anybody with any ambition. Yeah. You know, I don't want to be a punch bag for anybody. I haven't got an awful lot left in the tank. You know, I'm pushing 38 years of age now at this stage, which isn't old for boxing. I said, so somebody with the same ability, you know, with not too much ambition, that wants to have a 4 or a 6 rounder. I've got 4 or 6 rounds in me. So he said, yeah, okay, Joe, let's see what we can do for you. Anyway, spoke to my pal in Dublin, who I trained with for years and years, one of my best friends, Steve Dawson. I said, right, I'm going to have another fight, Steve. I said, I'm going to go out to America maybe to fight as a pro. I've fought in America many times as an amateur. I said, I'll have a pro fight in America. You know, I've got a good load of money for this.
The buzz was there, you were like, yeah.
Yeah, I thought, well, you know, if I get myself $10,000, $15,000, $20,000.
Set me up now, yeah.
Well, it's a lump of money, you know. I got a decent lump when I made my comeback fight against Mark Williams. He was another friend of mine. Yeah. And I thought I'd get myself a nice payday in America. I was buzzing. I said, Steve, we do a bit of sparring. You know, you help me get fit again. You know, you've helped me many, many times when we were amateurs. So I said, yeah. So we were going out to spar this particular day, and his little boy Tristan was 7 at the time. And I got my training bag with me, and I'm all buzzing, I'm getting ready. I've got 8-10 weeks to prepare for a fight in America. And his little boy Tristan said, what are you and Daddy going to do, Joe? I said, me and Daddy are going to box, we're going to spar together. You and Dad are going to box, Big Joe? I said, yeah, we're going to box, we're going to spar. We used to spar together before you were born, Tristan. He's only 7. I said, we used to train together and box together all the time. He goes, who's the toughest? You or me, Daddy? I looked at the little boy and I said, your Daddy's the toughest man on the planet. Anyway, we went sparring. Wasn't any particularly vicious punch. I ducked into it. He caught me in the bone of the eye. He ripped my eye wide open. And I felt the blood running down my face. I had the headgear on, come on with big gloves. And I felt the blood running down my face. Like I said, I was almost 38 years of age. And I knew from that punch, which wasn't a vicious punch, it was just a fast, accurate punch. It split my eye wide open. And I knew when the blood was running down my face that it was over. And went to the hospital, I got the stitches put into my eye. My eye swelled up. We come back to the house. His little boy's looking at the rip on my face.
My Daddy's done this to you.
He goes, what happened to your eye, Big Joe? I said, oh yeah, Daddy cut me when we were sparring, Tristan. He said, you said he was the toughest man on the planet. And I thought, that's it, rub salt into a wound, you know, but it was over. And like I said, I had that comeback fight. I finished my career on a win.
Yeah.
I got a few pounds in my pocket.
It's a plan B.
I got my pride back, Joe the boxer.
Yeah.
And it was hard to accept, but not as hard to accept as the first time round. The first time round it sent me into a depression because I was young and it was over. The second time round I was older and it was over. It was a little bit easier to accept. And I was back in the limelight as such, you know. I was back talking to Mike, I was back talking to the boxers, because I went into a bit of the 12 years out of the game. I wasn't around the boxing, I wasn't around the boxers, but now suddenly I'm back in it again. I've got a new buzz, even though I'm not going to box, I'm around the sport again. You know, and a lot of people have done some wonderful things for me since, Spencer Brown in particular, from Gold Star Promotions. He gave me the opportunity to talk on the after dinner speaking events. My two good friends, Ken Purchase and Charlie Hale, they've given me lots of opportunities to talk at boxing events, and they gave me the opportunity to do a book.
And that's what I'm getting to. Everybody's got a good book, you know. You got a story and a half.
Ken Purchase and Charlie Hale, they encouraged me actually to do a book.
What was your first thoughts about that? Why me? I'm not going to write a book. It's like, I can't be doing this.
I had no interest.
No.
Because I was not worthy of a book
No.
as such, you know. But I did a talk in London at the Hilton Hotel as a tribute to Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier was in attendance, his boy Marvis was in attendance. I'd worked with Mike for the Marvis fight, so I'm sitting top stage, sitting beside Marvis, sitting beside Joe, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. All these other world champions on the top table in a big audience. Cass Pennant was in attendance, who I knew was a book publisher because I knew him through my nephew Tom, who's a West Ham fan. Cass is the legendary West Ham fan. And after being introduced to Cass, before the talk, I looked at Cass, and big powerful black man. He's a great presence, and very, very nice man. I could never understand football hooliganism. We didn't have it in Ireland at the time, you know. This is a legendary football hooligan. Anyway, he said, "It's good to meet you." He said, "I'm looking forward to hearing your talk." I said, "Well, you might write a book about me."
Yeah.
Half joking.
Not knowing where it's
going to lead to. And he goes, "Well, let me hear what you've got to say." So suddenly, what Charlie Hale and what Ken Purchase had said to me, this man who's a book publisher, this said as well. So I thought, maybe I am worthy of a book. Anyway, I asked Charlie, I said, "How long have I got to talk, Charlie?" He said, 5 minutes. I said, "There's a table full of champions." I said, "Oh, give me 10 minutes, please, Charlie." So he gave me 10 minutes. Everything I said was directed at Cass Pennant, because I wanted Cass to take an interest in me, you know, from what he just said. Anyway, afterwards I've run over, I said, "Well, what do you think?" He said, "Well, you spoke very fast." He said, "I couldn't take it all in." He said, "But come to my office tomorrow," he said, "and we'll sit down and have a proper chat." I went to his office, told him about Mike. He said, "Well, if we can get Mike interested in the book," he said, "maybe there's something we can do." I phoned Mike straight away. I said, "Mike," I said, "this is Cass Pennant," and I introduced him to Cass. And his first words were, "Anything at all I can do for my brother Joe." And I could hear him say that to Cass. "Anything at all I can do for my brother Joe." I was buzzing, you know, because I know the friendship that we have. Understand? The same friendship me and you have, you know. And it was just lovely to hear him say that to this man, Cass Pennant. And then that was it. Then Cass was full steam ahead. You got a man called Ronald Graham, who was a famous man in the film world. He wrote the scripts for lots of movies, lots of TV series. He introduced me to Ronald. Ronald's godson, Matthew Vaughan, the movie director, is married to Claudia Schiffer.
Right.
Ronald was a wonderful man, wonderful man. He lived in Hastings. I went down many, many times, and he triggered memories in my mind. And he asked me loads of questions about my life, and he got them all typed up. And there was a big pile of this when I got to read it. I don't know what went from this to this into the book, but it was a roller coaster journey. You know, I had a hard life. You know,
so you got a kid in Ireland, thrown out to the States, out there in the Catskills with Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Floyd Patterson, George Foreman. You met them all.
Met them all. Very privileged.
And that one time we went to Muhammad Ali's house.
Oh my God, of course.
That was just after the fight. That was after Mike's last fight, wasn't it?
Yeah, against Kevin McBride.
After Kevin McBride fight.
To me, Muhammad Ali wasn't just the greatest boxer to enter a boxing ring. He was one of the greatest men to enter the world. Boxing was privileged and blessed to have him. You know, the world was privileged and blessed to have him because he was just a great human being. He was the way God would want people to be. He was caring towards others. He loved helping people. He didn't just want to help himself, he wanted to help others. And right up until heaven got him, he was still helping people. You know, his wife was bringing him out to meet his adoring fans. You know, people